Welcome everyone to Raw Sport, episode 111. My name is Ahmed El Houli, and we have the man himself, none other than WBO President Mr. Gustavo Olivieri. Welcome to the show, buddy. How's things?
How are you, my man?
Very well, thank you. Thank you, Gustavo.
How you been?
Good. How's things with you? You've been very busy, making a lot of announcements recently. Lots going on.
Can you hear me? I think the connection is.
I can hear you fine.
Connection lost. Reconnecting. Can you hear me and see me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay. Everything's good, man. Just non-stop working. Returning from a couple of days off. I had a personal matter to attend. Back on track. Trying to keep the things running in order. Lots of activities, projects, and initiatives scheduled. We're going to be doing announcements on a monthly basis of a couple of projects that I have on agenda. So everything's good, man, thus far.
All right. You made a interesting announcement recently.
Yeah.
With the financial literacy WBO Gives Back program, which you recently launched. Tell us a bit more about that and what that means to the WBO.
We've been developing a new program. It's called WBO Gives Back, which basically seeks to incentivize or benefit directly the fighters themselves. It's a program that will provide different tools or services directly from the WBO or third-party providers through the WBO. And we had the official launch last Saturday here in Puerto Rico with a financial literacy conference. And it was, we had a full house, more than 60 professional fighters, male and female. And the dynamics were unbelievable. But it was a more Q&A format. We had a certified public accountant basically discussing basic concepts of the financial literacy. What's a budget? What's a checkings account? What's a savings account? That boxers are professional service providers, that they need to rely on their budget. The accountant talked about a formula 50-30-20 for a budget. 50% will be more of the expenses. 30% would be on savings, and 20% will be on the normal ordinary expenses as to relate to the earnings generated through the services provided by the fighters. So it was a huge turnout, positive. Many people were surprised and also pleased. This is a first ever initiative in the from at least from the WBO's perspective, as to providing guidance, informative, educational tools and literature to professional boxers, not only related to the WBO, but also those that are seeking to fight for the WBO or participate under the WBO banner in some sort of way. So it was a huge success. Looking forward to next month's conference.
What was the feedback from the fighters? Were they shocked? Were they overwhelmed?
No, many of the fighters were very content. We had testimonials from Miguel Cotto, Hall of Famer Miguel Cotto, Amanda Serrano, Oscar Collazo, the 105 Unified Champion. We also had testimonials from former two-division WBO champion, Hall of Famer Ivan Iron Boy Calderon, on how to properly use and manage your funds or your monies as a result of your services provided as a fighter. So it was a huge. We had a huge turnout, positive impact. The fighters were receptive, positive feedback. They were very invested in the conference. But some fighters were asking questions like, how should I pay my taxes, either every 3 months or on an annual basis? How should I manage my my taxes when I'm fighting abroad, right? That you get tax withholdings in another jurisdiction, and once you come to Puerto Rico or your jurisdiction, you request a credit. How should I invest in my career, or how much should I rely on my savings as to where should I invest the money? So it was very cool to see fighters invested in the conference, paying attention to the dynamics, to the discussion, the materials, the content being covered by the speaker. So I was surprised, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting such a turnout. Even more so when we had announced that it was related to financial literacy, because some people may say, "Oh, well, that's a boring topic. That's numbers. I don't want to. I rather participate in some sort of other type of activity." So we had over 60 professional fighters, both on the female and male side. So it was a huge success.
Absolutely. Are we going to see these programs rolled out into more regions?
Yes, we're gonna start providing some of the financial literacy content. We're currently in the creation stage and in publishing the content on social media, on our official website, and as conference are being scheduled, either we do them in Puerto Rico or in other jurisdictions, but at the same time, we live stream these conferences and would have live translation, so other fighters can benefit from these initiatives or the program, I would say.
There was also another huge announcement recently about the WBO Convention
Yeah.
opening up to the public. What inspired that decision?
Well, I think that considering that we're interconnected on a daily basis through a mobile device or a tablet or through a desktop from any part of the world 24/7, and the constant access of communication in a matter of seconds, people are subject to notifications, real-time access to information. I think in order to mitigate any type of speculation or questions about how sanctioning bodies should operate or their decision-making process as to the rulings, rankings, mandatory challenger designation, purse bids, policies, rules, regulations, etc. I think if we open the convention to the general public, we mitigate those types of assertions or questions or concerns. Oh, these people are, we don't operate that way, surely, right? But if we can provide the general public and the fans, the media, all the industry's components, the opportunity to come to the convention, you pay a registration fee, and you get access to the General Assembly, the meetings, the ratings proceedings, the championship committee determinations, and fans can just raise your hands, ask questions, address a concern. I think we give it we from a WBO regulatory standpoint as a sanctioning body, we project ourselves being fully transparent, subject to being questioned, and I think it provides it provides a unique perspective on how a sanctioning body should operate, right? So I think it's the right course, and why not? Why should we? Why shouldn't we open the convention to the general public? There's nothing to hide. To the opposite, come see how we work. We open the books. Full transparency, man. I think it's paramount. It's critical. It's critical.
So will this become like an annual event that you'd be doing differently to what it is?
The conventions are an annual event. On a yearly basis, conventions are conducted in different parts of the world in October, at the end of October. It's the first time we're opening the convention to the public. So now people can just pay a fee, go see the ratings, see the championship committee, see the judges' seminars, the referee conferences, other speakers like regulatory authorities like commission leaders, federations, etc., and the people can just witness with their own eyes. Oh, this is how they operate, and I think it solidifies our credibility and legitimacy as a sanctioning body.
Will there be activations for the general public that you wouldn't usually have there to draw people in and engage them and bring them into the sport?
Pardon? I couldn't understand your question.
Will there be activations like activities on site that will draw people in that you wouldn't usually do?
You're cutting off. I think the signal is not working properly. You're cutting off on your question.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little bit. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Will there be activations for the general public to come in and get involved with, like different to normal? Will this be a unique event that you don't usually do?
No, it's a unique event. It's the first ever opening to the public convention. So there's going to be some activations. We're going to be launching by next week probably the official WBO Convention website. People can register, see the hotel, see the venue where the convention will be conducted, see the types of access for the convention. Certainly, there's going to be some limited access, right? Because if we're having a judge's seminar, if you're not a judge, you can't participate in the seminar. But as to the General Assembly, the administrative structure or framework of the WBO and how we rank fighters, how we designate a mandatory challenger, how is a championship fight sanctioned, all those proceedings or discussions about rules, regulations, policies, the fans can come and have beyond a unique experience of the boxing world, the WBO world. You can also see the internal structure of the WBO dynamics. So we're going to have activations on social media, the official website, and also on different WBO activities whereby we're going to have registration kiosks so people can register and come to the convention.
There's been a lot of talks about the championship committees for rematch decisions. This has become a common conversation online. Can you take us through what that entails?
Yeah, we have a rule in our WBO governing regulations called, there's a section, I believe it's section 18, return fight, which means an immediate rematch. There has to be numerous factors numerous circumstances that need to come to play in order for the committee to grant a relief of such nature. It's not the norm. It's the exception to the rule. Ordinarily, we don't order immediate rematches, right? Unless there are certain elements that some elements that come to fruition and the rematch is warranted. We receive on a yearly basis numerous immediate rematch requests, and most of them are denied because the elements are not there, Like, for example, a gross disregard of the applicable rules, right? Let's say, for example, the fight was very close on the scorecards, and two of the three judges, instead of implementing the 10-point must system, they were scoring the rounds contrary to what the applicable rules require to. Something like that, right? It has to be like a miscarriage of justice, like what happened with Navarrete and Charlie Suarez.
Wow. In terms of the rankings, we've seen other organizations rank, let's say it the way it is. The WBA has given Jake Paul a number 14 ranking, top 15 ranking. And Zuro Ramirez also fought on the Jake Paul card. And many thought that would end up being the actual matchup.
Yeah.
Could we see this happen in the WBO in the future? Is it possible? Could it be sanctioned? What's the story?
I got up earlier today. I saw on social media that Jake Paul was rated by another sanctioning body. As it pertains to the WBO, unless Jake Paul defeats a WBO world rated contender, we cannot consider him to be installed in the ratings. So that is my response to that question. Unless Jake Paul defeats a WBO world rated contender, he cannot be considered for a ratings position in the cruiserweight division. And I'm saying considered. I'm not saying that operates automatically. He first needs to defeat a world-rated contender to be considered for a position in the WBO world ratings. And this is regardless of our relationship with Jake Paul's nonprofit institution called Boxing Bullies by Jake Paul, which we are partnered for social initiatives of giving back to the boxing gyms, remodeling boxing gyms, giving out equipment, and that sort of activities. Unless he defeats a world-rated WBO contender, he may not be considered for the ratings. I'm repeating that word, considering. If he defeats a WBO world-rated contender, the committee could certainly consider him, but not necessarily grant him a spot. That distinction is very important.
Gustavo, what does that process look like? Like the regular boxing fan would say, what does that mean when you consider somebody for a world rating?
Well, consider is that the committee will convene and they will assess all the fighters installed in the ratings, and they would go through their respective records, win, losses, level of activity, level of opposition, how did the fighters win or lost, whether it was by a knockout, TKO, decision, etc. Was it a 10-rounder? Was it a 12-rounder? How many fights has a particular fighter participated in the last year or so? So it's a very complex, very thorough analysis that the ratings committee performs on a monthly basis. We're talking about 17 weight classes, 15 fighters per weight class. We're talking about 255 fighters on a monthly basis. So you would need to assess every ratings position very carefully, because once a fighter is installed in the ratings, that fighter has what it's called, from a legal standpoint, a property right. So the fighter is entitled to a due process. You can't just remove him without an explanation, or either up, down, exclude him, etc. And basically, per the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act, a federal law that governs the sanctioning bodies, particularly those that operate within the U.S. jurisdiction, the territories, and the Indian reservations, on a monthly basis, the ratings committee has to prepare what we call the ratings explanations. You go to our official website, on the ratings sections, there's a link that says ratings explanations. You click on that link and you see detailed explanations of every fighter rated per each weight class. Why the fighter was moved up, demoted, excluded, or installed. And you would have to explain the rationale behind each movement in the ratings. So once a fighter is installed in the ratings, he's entitled to those rights. For example, if a fighter is rated, and those explanations apply to the top 10. Okay? So for example, if a top 10 fighter is excluded from the ratings or moved down to number 11, I would have to put on my ratings explanations the reasons or the rationale for the movement or demotion or exclusion. On the flip side, if a fighter is excluded from the ratings within the top 10 and he files an email or a letter, hey, WBO, why was I excluded from the ratings last month? I would need to write a letter, dear fighter, and I would need to do what we call like a summary of his rating track record since his installment in the rating. You enter the ratings in this month, this day of this year, then you moved up, then you moved down, then you were excluded because of this. So it's a very technical and it's a very technical subject, and it's governed by federal law. And I can tell you this.
Yep, absolutely. And Gustavo, the WBO has invested a fair bit in their give back program, their digital presence and infrastructure. And you've been on our show before and made multiple announcements. What's the ultimate outcome here? I mean, how would you measure this as a success or not?
About the WBO Gives Back program?
Yeah, you've invested a fair bit into these programs, and you will continue to, and you all of a sudden now we're seeing a lot of online segments that we haven't seen before from a social media perspective, from a fan perspective. What's the ultimate goal here? How does Gustavo come to a conclusion this has been a success?
Well, the ultimate goal is to basically educate the fighters, provide the fighters real opportunities that would benefit them directly. I'm striving to change the paradigm as to how a sanctioning body works, right? We have to do more beyond conferring titles or distinctions, recognitions. That's all cool, honorable, and but we need to do more for the fighters as a sanctioning body, right? We can't just have sanction a fight, give out a title, award the championship, help out a gym, give equipment. That's cool. That's welcoming. But we've done this for many years in the past. Either we try to make some changes to become the outlier amongst the other sanctioning bodies and provide the fighters unique opportunities that benefit them directly or incentivize them directly, as to that we would put the fighters in a position of saying, well, from all the sanctioning bodies, the WBO gives me back, provides me these services, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and would benefit them directly. Either financial literacy course, how to properly use social media to create other sources of income or market their own brand, a first property acquisition educational conference, how to invest your money on investment accounts or funds, legal advice, if there's any problems that a fighter may have outside the ring or inside the ring. What are the minimum contractual guidelines that fighters should be aware of before signing a contract? All those type of initiatives or educational content that the fighters will benefit themselves directly through the WBO. It's going to be a success.
Absolutely.
Nobody's doing this. And I'm very confident that this is going to be a game changer from a sanctioning body perspective.
Absolutely. And one last one from me, Gustavo. We're seeing your native champion, Amanda Serrano, who's been the face of women's boxing for a very long time and who you guys do a lot of programs with. Her promotional company go all in on female boxing.
Yeah.
How important or how much of a role will the WBO be doing outside the ring when it comes to women's boxing?
Well, we had I don't know if you saw it. I think we had a
tournament.
Was it in May or in April? We had the first ever all amateur female tournament called the Amanda Serrano Championships, precisely under her banner. We created a concept and we launched that first tournament here in Puerto Rico, considering that the WBO is a Puerto Rican-based sanctioning body, founded by Puerto Ricans and presided by Puerto Ricans. Amanda's from Puerto Rico. Considering that Amanda had mentioned that she was always interested in doing something for the amateur kids. So I basically developed the concept of trying to have like a amateur type of event, but with some sort of professional dynamics intertwined with the event, with a weigh-in prior to the event, like a semi-amateur pro type of format. We awarded the winners a WBO Female Future Champion belt. The loser received an Amanda Serrano statue. And Amanda was there. Jake Paul was there. We had a huge turnout. The show was live streamed on social media, and also it was showcased on domestic here in Puerto Rico on a local national TV network. The ratings were huge. The social media interactions, publications, and sharings were unbelievable. One of the marquee events of my presidency thus far, the Amanda Serrano Championships. We're gonna take it. We're gonna make it extensive internationally, and it's gonna be a huge success. So I'm looking forward to keep promoting the women's boxing from the WBO standpoint, and more to come. Looking forward to Amanda's show next week. Amanda's fight with Katie Taylor. It's gonna be a huge fight.
Absolutely. How big of a part will the women's boxing play in the future of the sport, do you believe? Because we look at MVP, they've gone all in on women's boxing.
Yeah.
Is it
MVP has been doing a terrific job. They've been invested in women's boxing. I think it was a good idea to proceed or to select that route. And they're doing a first ever all female boxing show in New York in the Mecca Boxing.
Yeah.
Jake Paul are very smart. They are marketing genius. So expect a sellout show on July 11th in New York.
Absolutely. WBO President Gustavo Olivieri, I want to thank you very much for joining us on the show. Before we let you go, you got any parting words for us?
No, thank you for the support. Always a pleasure. Whenever you need to call, chat, do Zoom, always available. And wishing you all the best, my man. Regards from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Okay?
Take care, my man. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone. We'll catch you on the next episode of Raw Sport.